Welcome back to the measurement unit that we started Wednesday, November the 19th. Before I go farther, I better say hi to Victoria, who wasn't there, and to Diane. Hopefully you're having the baby okay. And Sharna, who was writing a test and didn't get this lesson. And Kendall and some others. Who else? Oh well, you know who you are. Sorry if I forgot your name. Continuing with measurement, I'd like to talk about area and perimeter over this next few minutes. First, I'd like you to take a look at this board. Basically, this is a baseboard for home building, and we measure the length of it using feet and inches. So I've measured the length of this baseboard, and this measures, on this particular tape measure, it measures approximately 58 inches. It's not inches squared, it's inches. End of story, okay? What I want you to be able to do, and what I've decided to skip out of the video, is change 58 inches into feet and inches. And in essence, 58 inches is actually 4 feet, 10 inches, okay? So I might give you 92.5 inches. How many feet and inches is that? How many yards is 39 inches? Okay, questions like that I didn't really want to talk about on this video. I'm just going to stop there, and you can pick that up later. So we have baseboards. If you're measuring the length of baseboards, it's like I say, it's length. However, if you want to use, if you want to know about painting a wall, well, you got to know more than just length. You have to know area. And that's what this little blurb's about here. So I want to show you what a foot looks like. A foot is about this long. That's a foot. The blue ruler is a foot. However, this square here, it's a foot each side. It's in the shape of a square. So we call it 1 square foot. However, just because it's called 1 square foot does not mean that it has to be in the shape of a square. For example, I've got another square foot right here. And if I cut it, I'll fold it, and then I'll cut it. Hopefully I can do this right. Well, guess what? I've got a square foot here as well. It's half as tall, but twice as wide. If I were to color this square foot with this pen here, it would take me so much ink to cover it. It would take me the same amount of ink to cover these two things because they're still 1 square foot. Okay? So just because it has the word square in it does not mean that it's the shape of a square. It's a unit. So here's another interesting thing. I might have this. Now remember, I've ripped these all from the same page. There's a compound shape. It's a square foot. Okay, it would take the same amount of ink to cover this strange looking shape as it would to cover this square foot. Okay, so when you paint a wall, you look on the can, it'll say cover so many square feet. By law, they're required to say square meters. However, they're only doing that because it's the law, not because they want to. Okay, so take a look here, Kevin. We're going to move the camera. Kevin's my producer. He's also my third son. Very nice guy. Single, too, I might add. So, are we focused in here?
We are.
Okay, so when we're talking about length, we're talking in inches or feet. There's the short forms right there. And we use length for perimeter. Baseboards. Area, on the other hand, is in square inches or square feet. There's our short form there. Okay, you cannot add an inch to a square inch. It's not allowed. You have to only add inches to inches and feet to feet. You cannot add inches to feet. And you certainly can't multiply them that way. So that's what we're going to work on over the next few minutes. What is the area of this floor? Actually, let's say what is the area and perimeter of this room? There's our question.
So, I won't move.
I'll draw the room. Now, this is a sketch. It's not a scale drawing. So when you see me draw something freehand, don't use a ruler because I'm not using a ruler. Okay, so I'm going to mark this as 8 feet. And I'm going to call this 12.5 feet. Okay, and I want to know what the area is and what the perimeter is. Okay, area has a formula. Length times width. Now this is feet times feet. We can do it. So 8 times 12.5. And that is 100. And this is important. Feet squared. That's the answer. Or we can say 100 square feet. The perimeter, on the other hand, is the distance around. So if I'm putting baseboards in my room, I want to know all the way around. If an ant was crawling from this corner all the way around, how far would it travel? Well, there's a formula. 2L plus 2W. And that is not the only formula, by the way, but that's the one we'll use today. So in other words, 2 lengths, 2 widths. So let's say 2 times 12.5 plus 2 times 8, and that's 25, and that's 16, and you get a final answer of 41. Now, it's feet, not square feet, it's feet. 41 feet. Okay, so let's move ahead to the next one. Do you have to use that 2L plus 2W formula? No, you do not have to use it. You can just use your senses and add them up as you go along. Okay, we'll speed up the tape so that you can not have to waste time listening, but here's a question. If a carpet costs $13.95 per lineal foot, and by the way, we're referring to our old question here from before. I'll rewrite it. 8, 12.5, 8, 12.5. Everything is in feet. Whoops. So it's carpet, $13.95 per lineal foot. And the roll is 8 feet wide. And baseboard is $198 per foot. What will it cost after taxes to cover the floor and put baseboard in. Well, I say the roll is 8 feet wide. So you got to imagine you go to Rona there and the big roll is 8 feet wide. You're pulling out so many feet. Your room is 8 feet wide, fortunately. How many feet do you have to pull off the roll? Well, you got to pull off 12.5 feet. That's what I mean by a lineal foot. So we need carpet. We need 12.5 times $13.95. Kevin, you can calculate for me. 12.5 times $13.95. And the baseboard is, remember we needed 41 feet from before, the distance around. 41 feet times $1.98 per foot. And we'll get a value for both of those, okay? What is this one?
It is 174.38.
So $174.38. Now there's a good chance that you had more than 2 decimal places there. I think it came to 375, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that money's in 2 decimal places, so you hopefully will recognize why that says 174.38. Okay, this one will be good. Go ahead, Kev.
81.18.
0.18. Okay, now give me a total of that.
$255.56.
Right, keep that in the calculator and multiply that by our magic Manitoba number.
That is $286.23.
23 cents. That is the end of the question. Have we answered the question? Let's go back and see. What will it cost after taxes to cover the floor and put baseboard in? $286.23. One more difficult question, and just give me a minute, we'll reset the camera. Only got 7 minutes to go, so I got to cover everything in 7 minutes. So here we go. Pretend you're looking at the front of our classroom, and it looks like this. And the whiteboard is right there. And I want to paint everything like this. Now, I'm not going to waste painting behind the whiteboard. That doesn't make sense because this whiteboard is about 4 feet by 8 feet, and it's about 32 square feet, which is a lot of paint. That may take up a half a can of paint. So I want to know the area to be painted, and then after that we'll figure out what will it cost to paint it if each can costs $17.95. Okay, so let's put the measurements in here. We've got 8 1/2 feet. We have 30 feet. This one here is 8 feet 3 inches. I'm combining units here. And this one is a basic 4 feet.